Sarah, to you first. How do you, and I just want to be clear, there's so many vectors in this story, and I wonder how you are making sense of it this morning.
I got 3 words for you. Use your words, Will. You are an actor. You are a rapper. You have people that write things for you. You're a smart guy. Use your words, not your fists or your hands. It's that simple. I think you sat there and watched that, and I think everybody was shocked only because they thought it was part of the skit at first. And did you notice? He was laughing at first until Jada clearly wasn't, rolled her eyes, and then he gets up and goes and does this. But it really took away so much from everybody that was there and from the moment. I have to be honest, I'm a little embarrassed that I'm even talking about this right now. We've got inflation that is crushing families. We have millions of refugees who are running for their lives, trying to find refuge, mothers and children. And we've got Ukraine, which is literally on fire and being bombed. This was a moment that did not need to happen. And now it's trending on Twitter instead of 1,000 other things that are far more important. So that's where I stand on this. Watching that was really, really disheartening and disappointing.
Look, it is a lighter thing, the Oscars in general. And those moments of achievement could be a light moment for people to revel in. Today they aren't. That is for sure. Eric, I wonder what you think of what you saw.
Well, what elevates this story is the reaction of the Hollywood establishment. It was bad enough that Will Smith took it upon himself to physically attack Chris Rock because of a joke he told. But then when Will Smith went on to actually accept the Best Actor award and receive a standing ovation from some people in that audience for what he did, the Academy put a short statement up on its Twitter page saying that it didn't condone violence. But in this case, it did. Will Smith was allowed to accept his award. He was given as much time as he wanted to speak, well over 4 or 5 minutes. And as far as I can see, he didn't pay any real consequences for what he did. And I just wonder, there's so many people, we're having these conversations about cancel culture, but here's a situation where a comic told a joke and then got physically assaulted. No one in the room really seemed to penalize Will Smith for it. The Academy didn't penalize Will Smith for it. The producers of the Oscar cast didn't penalize Will Smith for it. We now hear that Chris Rock is not going to press charges. Who's going to ensure that someone pays a price for committing an act of violence on live television? That's the question I have still today.
There's so much context here, and I mean, none of it excuses the use of violence. But I do just want to mention for people who aren't necessarily aware, there was a joke that Chris Rock told back in 2016 at the expense of Jada Pinkett Smith and at the expense of Rihanna. And also, it's important to know that as he made this joke about her appearance and about her hair, she has dealt with alopecia, the autoimmune disorder that's part of the reason, as we understand it, that her hair is short, because it causes the loss of hair. And Sarah, I guess you can obviously be against violence and also look at what Chris Rock was saying. I know it's been dismissed by some people as just a joke, but this is also someone who had a project, a documentary film back in 2009 called Good Hair. This idea of him joking about, how do you make sense of these different things? Not condoning violence, but also maybe acknowledging some of the context here.
Sure, I think that he could acknowledge it, but again, he's a comedian. Literally going after people is what he does, and we saw that throughout the night. The comedians who were there were taking digs at Hollywood. And why do they do that? Because these are people that have power, they've got money, they've got all the things they need to exist and be comfortable in this world. And this is a moment where you make people uncomfortable. And by the way, G.I. Jane is one cool chick. So this wasn't exactly a really nasty thing to say. I get where he was going. And yes, the hair thing can be painful. This is something that she has gone through and she has discussed. I will not be surprised if this ends up on her show Red Table and being discussed, because she does have a show and this is the sort of thing that they talk about. But I do want to talk a little bit about something that Eric said, and he talked about what's the consequence of this. Number one, the LAPD has said that there has been no report made by Chris Rock. I don't think he's going to make one. And there is a code of conduct, though, that was spelled out very clearly in 2017 after the Harvey Weinstein debacle and scandal. And they basically came out, the Academy, saying, look, there's no place for people that use their status, power, or influence to crush someone else, or to use any form of abuse, harassment, or any kind of discrimination. And so you're looking at this going, okay, Academy, so what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about this? Because clearly there were no consequences that night, but are there going to be consequences going further? Will they kick Will Smith out of the Academy? Highly unlikely. He is a huge name in Hollywood. I'll be curious to see where this goes.
Yeah, where should it go, Eric? Should he be kicked out of the Academy? Should his Oscar be endangered?
Well, I felt the punishment should have been on site. He should not have been allowed to go on stage to make a speech. They should have explained that he wasn't allowed to do it because he attacked someone during the ceremony. And this is the problem that we have when institutions don't step up and do what they're supposed to do in the moment. Then it creates a situation where an even bigger punishment is only available. I mean, kicking him out of the Academy, taking his Oscar away from him. These are pretty huge punishments. I don't expect that they will happen. He should have been punished in the moment, but the Oscar cast producers didn't seem to have the will to step up and take the action that should have been taken in the moment. And even though Will Smith apologized to his fellow nominees and to the Academy, he didn't apologize to, for example, Questlove, the director of Summer of Soul, who received the best documentary feature that Chris Rock was announcing, and everyone in the place was looking at Will Smith and talking about what had just happened and not paying attention to his acceptance speech. And he didn't apologize to the families of people featured in the In Memoriam segment. When the camera came back to start that segment, you could hear people in the room were still talking and buzzing about what had happened with Will Smith while they were paying tribute to people who had passed away over the past year. So he disrupted the Oscar ceremony in a way that stole the attention and the consideration from honorees that truly deserved it. And some people may never get this honor again. And when someone who has that much power acts without realizing how much power they wield and how they can disrupt the lives of other people, that's the true tragedy. And when they're supported by other people in the room, instead of reminded of their responsibility to act responsibly and act like the role model they say they are, then that's truly the biggest problem.
I think it's a really good point you make. It did overshadow so many achievements, including Will Smith's, but so many other achievements on an evening where those should have just been shining. Eric Deggans, Sarah Seidner, thank you so much to both of you.